Rollicking Scherzo brings forth another afternoon session. This is vk3sl. These are test missions on 160 and also on UHF. That's 438.725. Following on from a late night session last night and also an earlier session on Friday. So we sort of have missions abound on the weekends, and that's the way of things here, and it's an opportunity to explore the collection and some rather obtuse musical tastes along the way. So stuff happens here. And of course it's tone tests to validate volume and clarity, especially if you're listening on the wireless, and if you're listening online you can enjoy something that's a bit more of the entertaining vogue. That's vk3sl has a dedicated live YouTube stream. Just look up my call sign on YT and all will be revealed. So there we go. That's the background. And there's sort of a bit of a tradition here whenever we do this, is to fire up with something deeply nostalgic. And what do we have today? We have a recording from the Cabaret Novelty Orchestra with Bert Furman. It's a British group, and this record goes back to about 1926. It's pretty early. Anyhow, it's a catchy tune from that time, a hit from that period, and featuring Simon Goldberg on the trumpet, I think. Yes, Simon Goldberg, Max Goldberg, who ended up in Australia in the end of his life. He played in the Channel 9 band, but he made hundreds, if not thousands, of recordings in the 1920s. He was a master of the muted trumpet sound. Really important figure, especially in England. And who else? Arthur Lally on saxophone. Anyhow, have a listen to this. Bert Furman and the orchestra. You gotta know how to love. VK3SL testing. Why do I keep saying Cabernet? Must be something to do with liquid refreshments that I'm anticipating. Maybe it's the Cabaret Novelty Orchestra with Bert Furman. And You've Got to Know How to Love is the name of the song. It's an old scratched up zonophonium. And it's one of those great mid-20s English tracks. And we use that to kickstart the program today. Now, I was shopping this morning and I took that sideways step into the op shop and there happened to be a Clef record sitting in the box. So it's a 45 and I promptly took it to the counter and purchased it. And it happens to be entitled Benny Carter Cosmopolite. So it's from an instrumental jazz series extended play, 45, and I always enjoy Clef records. They're quirky and they feature all number of great jazz musicians in the 1950s, 60s. So I reckon this has to be played. So we'll go with side A. It's an EP. I haven't even sampled it, to be honest. I'll give it a clean. But we'll listen in to the Op Shop Danger. Thank you. How art thou?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, good.
vk3sl, vk3op.
Yes, Mr. OP. Nice to hear from you. Yeah, all good. Yeah, we're just hanging there and meandering along, stuff happens.
yeah, likewise. It's the first time I've had the gear on in a while, so...
Yeah, you've been out and about. You went away, didn't you?
Had the weekend away, and then last weekend a whole bunch of stuff just happened, so precluded me from playing, but...
Okay.
Just in here working up some more interfaces, so I thought I'd turn on and have a listen.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Oh, that's nice to hear from you. And, look, I haven't got lots to report. It's that time of the year. It's that pointy end of the term where everything sort of starts to aggregate and become crazy. And,
of course, yes. Exams and...
Yeah, exams and reports and all that sort of stuff. Oh, yes, that's right. Concerts. I've got about 2 concerts a week at the moment.
Wow.
And so it's a lot of stuff.
Are they the same performance or are they different performances?
Oh, different performances, different groups of people.
So that's kind of a lot of material to get your head on around.
There is, and some of it I'm conducting and some of it I'm playing. It's it's a bit crazy. But anyhow, that's all fine. And tomorrow I'm actually going to a concert. I'm looking forward to that at the Town Hall. Son's playing in the Conservatorium Orchestra. They're doing a concert in the Town Hall.
Town Hall's a great venue. Shot a bit in there over the years and heard lots of different performances, and the organ in there is amazing. Unfortunately, it doesn't get used very often, but it's a stunning instrument.
It is a stunning instrument. It's one of the great organs in the world. In fact, there's a secret about that organ, I can tell you. The 64-foot stop, they had to disconnect because when they used that stop, it was disrupting the foundations of city buildings.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a couple of, you just look at the tube, some of the resonance in that place, and you think that's capable of some very low frequencies.
Yes, indeed. Yes, you could get a standing wave to demolish.
Possibly close to the fabled brown note.
Yes, that's right. And a skyscraper may topple.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's what happened in China recently with that. Did you see that in the news?
I did notice that,
They
yes.
evacuated a skyscraper in Shenzhen because it started shaking for no apparent reason, and there was no measured seismic activity or anything. And,
Really?
Perhaps
some sort of stress
lighting up their organ.
Yeah, they might have been. Might have been doing some practice.
Yeah.
And, wow, that's a bizarre situation. Did they work out what it was? Some sort of stress resonance or subsonics?
But, there have been a number of building collapses over there over the years, and apparently that building's fairly 300 metres high, and it's sort of 30 years old or something, and as I said, the building codes over there are perhaps not as tight as they might be.
Not as tight as they are elsewhere.
And I've been to Shenzhen, so I can see that the rate, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But at the rate things were going up then, it was astonishing.
Yes.
It was a skyline just covered in building sites and cranes and bamboo scaffolding.
Yeah, bamboo scaffolding. I remember that. Yes, I did an orchestra tour of China, I think in 85 or 86, and at that time they still had steam trains everywhere and square bonnet cars.
Wow.
And bicycles everywhere.
Still a lot of bicycles, but
steadily
now, and the last time I was in Beijing, which was in 2008 for the big 5-ringed event.
Oh, yes.
The danger now is that a lot of them are riding these e-bikes, and of course they move at a great rate of clip, and they're quiet. You don't hear them coming. You really have to check carefully before you step off the curb. Interesting
stuff. Yeah, I'd say it would be an unrecognisable place compared to
it's monstrous.
Yeah, when I look at pictures,
and
it's
the
just
train systems now are very modern, underground and stuff, and all automated. Line up on the platform perfectly with the doors because the platforms have doors on them as well, and it's all
wow.
It's pretty high tech.
Sounds very streamlined. I'll never forget sitting on Nanjing Station and 4 huge steam trains pulled in within 5 minutes, and it was so much smoke and steam. It was just this cloud descended upon us.
A scene out of Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, this is a surreal experience. I'm never ever going to have anything like this happen to me again.
Yeah. Almost Harry Potter-esque.
Yes, it was like that. They were big Harry Potter trains with the big stars in the middle of the boiler.
Yeah, of course. Yes, the big red star.
Yes, that's it. But they were enormous locomotives, and they'd pull in, one came one side and another came in, and 2 others, and it was just all steam.
It's interesting to know what they were based on too, because more than likely they would have been based on an old, European loco, British,
I think they were Russian.
Or Russian.
Yeah, I think they were Russian stock.
To base a lot of their stuff on other people's, known true designs. And
I think so. They had solid wheels, interestingly. A lot of the steam trains.
That's very heavy.
Yes, they would have been.
But a lot of flywheel effect.
Yeah. But they all had them, and they some of them had wheels which were solid halfway, and then sort of spokes or pseudo spokes on the other side of the wheel.
Oh wow, you think they'd be out of balance?
Yeah, I think so. It's if I remember correctly, or maybe they're juxtaposed.
Perhaps it was on the opposite side of the drive pin or something that perhaps it was done to take the load of the drive mechanism off the piston, perhaps.
There must have been a reason, but there are a few design features I remember from those enormous trains.
Do you have any photos?
I do somewhere. I'll have to dig them up.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, they were pretty amazing. So that was an experience. But China, it's all changing. Everything's changing. Yep.
Oh, vastly. Even between, because my first trip there was in, 95.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the Shenzhen region, and via Hong Kong, and then to Beijing in 2008, and the differences between those two, 13 years, quite astonishing.
I imagine, yeah, incredible. Well, and I remember the numbers of people who came to the concerts. We did a concert in Beijing, and 5,000 people were there.
Wow,
it was just ridiculous.
And was the venue up to it, or was it?
Yeah, well, they were just packed in like sardines, and it was just crazy stuff. And it was like a big municipal hall, but it was really tight, and people spit all the time. Yeah. So, and it's just, I think it's a culture. Yeah, it's a cultural thing, and they're hocking and spitting. And now we had this sort of sensitive music we were playing, and we're sort of cultural ambassadors playing this piece, and suddenly you hear the hock. And then suddenly, I remember one point we were playing this contemporary Australian piece by Malcolm Williamson or someone, and and then suddenly in the middle of it, someone did a big hock, and then the giggles started to go through the orchestra, and it's music where you got to really, really concentrate, and the stakes are pretty high, and we started to laugh, and it almost fell apart. We sort of regained ourselves, but the conductor sort of reined us in. But it was, I'll never forget that experience. It was so vulnerable on the stage with heaps of people.
It sounds as though it's probably the experience of that, you come back and write a piece that incorporates it or utilises it.
That's right. Yes, I think a lot of people would do that. Yeah. So anyhow, memories of China. Well, I've got this clef record, this Op Shop Damage today.
The Op Shop.
I know. And look, I like clef records. They're always it's quirky jazz, and that was a dedicated
where
jazz.
Are they produced?
The American label, I think. And I should do check online, but. Whenever you see them, always snap them up because they're always interesting bands, and they sort of supported a lot of up and coming musicians. But we'll pop this one on, and I'll hang around a bit afterwards.
And go back to making a few.
Yeah, and after this, I'm going to put on another op shop. This is a tip shop find. Yeah, a few days ago, I was getting the fruit and veg, and I remember that there was a tip shop very close by. This is down the end of High Street Road. And I went in, and there's boxes of vinyl, and I know another damaged story.
Lost.
Yes, it was nearly late back to work, but I found I've never had Switched On Bark the original. I've got the other 2 albums following that, but this is the one with Walter Carlos, or Wendy Carlos as he is or she is now, and this is the album that sort of did it set the scene for the Moog synthesizer, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the picture of Mark on the front. So I'm going to play that a bit later on as well, because that's
cool.
That's a good topic. Yay.
All right. Thank you. We'll be listening.
All right. No worries. Good to speak to you, Frank. And we'll carry on with the music of... let me hold this up again. Yes, it's Benny Carter and the ensemble. I can tell you the personnel. It's got Oscar Peterson and Buddy Rich and J.C. Hurd on the drums and Ray Brown on the bass. This is a classic recording, and it's on an authentic medium, an EP, a 45, and we'll hear this Benny Carter Cosmopolite, it says, and the tracks are I've Got the World on a String, Gone with the Wind, and I'll flip the disc after that, and then we'll hear Long Ago and Far Away, and then I've Got It Bad, and That Ain't Good. Sounds very familiar. All right, into the groove. vk3sl testing. of Benny Carter. This is vk3sl. We'll turn the record over. Been listening to Benny Carter and his ensemble featuring Oscar Pedersen. And a star-studded lineup there on a Clef record. Reading about Clef. Clef were established by Norman Gans in 1946, and eventually it became Verve Records, which we all know. Now, who else? Buddy Rich was on that recording, and as I mentioned, Oscar Pedersen and Benny Carter on alto sax. Very laid back. Well, what I was intending to follow this on with was a recording of the Switched on Bach, the first album, but I don't know if I'm quite in the right headspace for that at this point in time. So I've picked out another record from the Tip Shop. Picked up quite a few LPs. This is a 10-inch LP on Capitol. It says Keyboard Sketches by Skitch Henderson. Don't know anything about Skitch Henderson until I turn the cover over and we discover that his parents named him Lyle Cedric Henderson, but he insists on being called Skitch. Say no more. Born in Birmingham, England on the 27th of January 1919, he was educated in Switzerland and in London. Early in life, Skitch was determined on a musical career, which took him to America. Fortunately, he achieved almost immediate success in theatre work and on all the major networks. And when the war broke out, he became an American citizen and joined the Air Forces in 1942, returning to civilian life in 1945. One of Skitch's aims is to familiarise the public with classical themes adapted carefully so that their form will not be destroyed, changing nothing with the possible exception of the basic rhythmic content. He is completely devoted to the musical arts, having played in practically every top radio orchestra and now his own. So there we have it. That's the blurb on Mr. Henderson. So again, I haven't sampled this at all. This is straight out of the skip. Literally came from the Tip Shop. Picked this up last week. I hope it's the right record and the right cover. One of the others I picked up had the wrong record and the wrong cover, disappointingly. But this one, yep, it looks correct. It's a Capitol record. Hopefully it's in reasonable nick. Oh gosh, it does look a bit scratched. Anyhow, I might give the needle a clean. That's obligatory. There we go. Dust off the needle and we'll have a listen to this selection of keyboard sketches. Two sides of a 10-inch LP, and then we'll follow on a bit later on with the Bach example with the synthesizer. This is vk3sl testing. Excuse the skipping record there. I was chopping vegetables and suddenly I was getting a redundant cyclic experience. So there we go. Well, shall we hear the other side? It's very soupy, isn't it? Middle of the road missions. Well, it's sort of the way I feel at the moment. Just need something subdued. Lit the fire, cooking dinner. Everyone's coming home soon. Let's have a look. Skitch Henderson. All right, well, we'll hear side 2. Wonder what happened to him. Wonder what he did with his life. Yeah, it is pretty scratched up. Maybe it belongs back in the skip. Oh, we'll persevere. We'll have a listen to side 2. And if it does go into a skip motion again, I will have to run back out here. I am, of course, monitoring the side. That's obligatory. We always monitor the missions. And it's actually creating quite a nice background ambience in the house. All right, so here we go. Side B. We'll give it a whirl. vk3sl testing. I've got an admission to make, folks. We've been listening to this whole thing on 45. I thought it sounded a little bit too prissy. Oh dear, that is a disaster. Well, with apologies to Mr. Skitch, let's hear the record at the correct speed.
This is a test transmission from vk3sl.
So poetic. Keyboard Sketches by Skitch Henderson, a capital LP found at the Tip Shop last week. And earlier on we played the first side in double speed and it sort of sounded like bad Art Tatum. Sorry about that, folks. But anyhow, sampling these new discoveries. And yeah, nice ambient music. And of course, these are test missions on 160 and on UHF. So we'll stand by now. I'm sort of busy inside. I am on dinner duty tonight, so I can't hang around in here. But I am listening inside while I'm chopping up the vegetables. And we'll continue now with a long-awaited switched-on Bark disc. Now, I've never had the original in the series. I've got a couple of other later recordings by Walter Carlos or Wendy Carlos. This is the original. This is the one that sort of set the scene and which everyone raves about and was a game changer, put Moog on the map. It's a great record and it is very, very inventive. I was listening to it closely the other night and I have to say some of the ideas are really progressive and really interesting. The way he varies note lengths and uses echo and reverb in very subtle but very effective ways, and of course all the sounds are highly individual. There's something that's created. It's completely a product of the Moog machine. So, yeah, let's have a listen to this recording. Switched on Bach, realised and performed by Walter Carlos with the assistance of Benjamin Falkman. A recording that came out in the early 1970s. I hope it's in better condition than the record we just heard. I might just do the honours and clean the needle first before commencing. There we go, and it might be dutiful to give the record a clean as well. You never can know. A lot of dust in this room, I'm afraid. And just a reminder, this is vk3sl. We're testing here on 160 and on UHF and streaming online. So if you go onto YouTube, you'll see a devoted page to these missions, and under my call sign where there is a live stream and also a log of earlier programs. And there's also a secondary streaming service which can be accessed from my QRZ page if you're a radio ham, or if you look up my name as a blogspot, or my call sign as a blogspot, that's vk3sl.blogspot.com. There is more information about the station and about this bad itch, this madness that consumes me on the weekends when I'm about. And in case you're not in for the long haul, just a reminder that tomorrow night I won't be on. I won't be doing any missions tomorrow. I'm going to a concert tomorrow at the Melbourne Town Hall, and I won't be here. So no missions tomorrow, but we hopefully, all being well, we'll be back again next week from Friday, and we'll see how things progress from there. So without any further ado, let's continue with the music of Walter Carlos as he was in the early 1970s and the famed Switched on Bach.
This is a test transmission from vk3sl.
Side A of Switched on Bach. Walter Carlos realising the music of J.S. Bach via the Moog synthesizer. Well, I think we might leave it at that today. Busy at the coalface, so I will give you just a little of the last track, and we'll write out on this today, and we'll look forward to your company next week, and we'll play side 2 next time. Looking forward to it. Have a good week.